From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView podcast.
And welcome to this month's episode of the DuView podcast. As always, I'm your host, Du, aka Ryan Dumont, and this month I am joined by, I guess the best way to describe you, Kaci, would be high school compatriot and also a Maine professional all in his own right, Mr. Kaci Rankins, ladies and gentlemen. Kaci, welcome on the podcast. Welcome back to Augusta, Maine, too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, buddy.
Excited to be here and excited just to catch up because it's been...
What's it been? Probably like 11?
Almost 10 years. Yeah, 10, 11 years.
10, 11 years. Because just to give some, I guess, context to our background, Kaci and I went to good old Coney High School together in Augusta, Maine. And you graduated in 2014, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
So you were a year ahead of me in school, but we overlapped in a lot of, I guess, what I'll just call activity.
Yep.
Because you were, as I like to say, a singing or a musical athlete, as I was also a singing musical athlete. And so obviously when you go to a school of, a few hundred folks, you end up overlapping with each other. So I believe the first class, though, that we had together was like a French class with Miss Carpenter.
Miss Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was good times. It's crazy to think that was 10 years ago. Almost.
Right? I mean, like...
It's like nuts.
Go ahead.
And we have the only reason I remember that is because we have the 10-year reunion.
You do, yeah.
Up.
Yep.
And I'm like, I was I guess the class president, so it was my responsibility to actually do that.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Now it's coming up, and I'm like, oh shit, I got nothing planned.
Oh no.
But yeah.
I'm sure you got it though. You're a pro, like I said.
We'll make it work. We got John Bennett and Kim Bork. I think was the other one that was part.
Hey, that's a good group.
The group. So I have to reach out to them and get things started. But
excellent.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I mean, like, that's not, like, I mean, I'll be in your shoes in another year, It's kind of funny, like, going back to school to get my electrical stuff. Like, I was thinking about it, and I was actually talking with some folks. I'll be like, yeah, high school is literally like, because, like, the instructor for my electrical class was like, don't you remember this from high school, like, chemistry? And I'm like, guy, that was 10 years ago. And he goes, and then I got this other 40-something-year-old that's in class with me, and he goes, dude, you think that's bad? Try being 40-something.
That's crazy.
It's just time is so funny, and I do talk about time a lot on the podcast. Like everybody's like, oh, you sound like you're trying to wish time away. It's like, no, I'm just like, things. You have to understand, things have been so fucking crazy. Like, just to be able to like take a moment and just analyze what's going on, or just like to be able to process it all. It's a lot, and I'm sure it's been the same boat for you too.
Yeah, given the past couple of years, it feels like just forever.
Yeah,
and then we lost a year completely. It was just everything shut down, and it's a weird time.
It really was, and I mean, like to say that, like, just like, and it's I guess one of the weirder things for me is just like, I guess kind of getting off on a tangent too. It's just like. With the, I guess, exiting of COVID, just going back to normal, like nothing ever happened. It's kind of weird. Like I don't feel like that's maybe not the healthiest. Like, I'm not saying we need to like live in COVID fear, but like just like being mindful of like what the last 3 years or 3 and some odd years taught us. Like, just like, so not saying like to prevent things from like a healthcare standpoint, but just like to prevent like society like flipping out at each other. And like, I don't know, it's just like, trying to make sure people come back together, and like I think that's really like the big. And I guess we've gotten on a good tangent, but like I guess, and that's why I always liked you, Kaci, because you were always more or less peace and love. Like, let's get along for the, you know what I mean? Like,
love everybody.
Yeah, see, that's something that took me time to understand, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's something like I was not all about that, especially in high school. Like, I know there are folks that would say that. I didn't even say that. Like to be able to grow. Like I said, like I was saying to you earlier, to be able to grow and see, how folks change and everything like that is really, really special too.
Yeah. It's crazy to think back, just like over the span of 10 years, what has happened.
Right.
And because you change so much over 10 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and it's crazy when you come back to a place where you haven't really been. Like, I haven't been to Augusta, and I mean, I've driven through Augusta many times, but like,
you have to. The only interstate in the state goes through
Augusta.
Augusta.
And so it's like when people see you and you run into people from the past, it's like they're expecting the version of you that was back then, and it's like I don't even know that person.
I
anymore,
haven't known that person since I went to college. Like seriously, like going like I'll tell anybody, as much as I like, not having my career work out, but like going off to college was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. I'm sure probably in the same boat for you too. But before we get into the college stuff, I do have a couple more high school things I guess I do want to touch on, because we will get ahead of ourselves.
Let's go down memory lane. Let's do this.
So like I was saying, and I guess to kind of give some context, we talked about singing student athletes. So there was a lot of art involved. Kaci and I were both in band and also chorus together, and also the Madrigals. For a year we overlapped in that. And I mean, like, Coney is a very kind of unique place when it comes to the arts and music, especially because we have, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but we have the longest running high school run variety show in the country, Chisel Whizzle, which is celebrating 130 some odd years this year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's going to be, we're well over 130 years, which is amazing. Like I said, it's 99% student run. I mean, obviously there are some adult supervisions and things like that, but like 9 times out of 10, like all the skits and everything like that. There's two, I guess to give a little bit more background, there are 2 parts of the show. Interestingly enough, Kaci and I both were in the minstrel section of the show and both got to sing our own songs. Were you an end?
I was.
You were an end. That's right. We were both ends. And you were in the show the year what 20 was it 13 or 14 show?
Like that,
and I mean it was a you were it was like a Rocky Horror thing. Like we did the theme that year when Kaci was an end was Rock of Stages. And you got to actually like.
I had that song.
You were like Meatloaf's character from Rocky Horror.
I had to sing
Hot Patootie, bless my soul.
Oh my God. Hot Patootie, man. That was a trip.
Was like everybody else got like, and I mean, I've thought about this, and I'm sure you've probably thought about it too, Kaci, but like everybody else got like a rock song to sing. Like Lena Toby got Pinball Wizard.
Yes.
Like,
and I got Hot Patootie.
Yeah, you got fucking Hot Patootie.
What the hell? I wasn't as, I can't remember what song it was that I was supposed to get. Oh, Footloose.
Yeah.
I was originally supposed to get that.
Yeah.
And then something happened last minute, and I got freaking Hot Patootie.
Hot Patootie.
Bless my soul.
I mean, don't get me wrong. In the grand scheme of Rocky Horror Picture Show or Rocky Horror, it's a great song for the musical itself. But in terms of being taken out of something, and I can kind of relate to that in a roundabout way. I don't know if you went to the show the year after or after you graduated when I was an N, my senior year, but I ended up with the the song from The Wiz. I got, and I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to like be weird about it, but like it was from The Wiz, which is like
were you the lion, right?
Yeah,
I remember that. I did go to that.
With all due respect, like The Wiz is very much like the Afrocentric Wizard of Oz. It's not like the. I mean, I'm a white kid from Maine.
No, but I remember that you killed it. In that.
Oh, I did.
It was
but it was just like you got to go dig deep and find some soul. But it's just but at the same time, dude, it was like. Alex Rendy's over here singing Frank Sinatra. I'm like, that's my thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely
That was but I figured like. And we're not hating. I'm not hating at all. Like
no, it was
they
a lot
made
of fun.
the choices they made. I love, and I mean, I still talk with Marsha, and I still talk with Teresa.
I love those guys,
I love them. I mean, they're great, and I don't fault them for picking the songs they picked. But just like in hindsight, being what it is, it was like, why the fuck did we get those songs? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we both killed it in our own way, but it was just like, man, oh man, like where did they pick these? Like, who let this happen?
For me, I have 2 left feet, so when they tried to incorporate the dance number, in part of that, I'm like stumbling along trying to remember my lines, and my audition piece for that I remember was what was the song now? It was Michael Bublé.
Oh yeah.
Birds Flying High.
And I'm feeling good.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Which is somebody else did that song too. I'm trying to remember. But case in point, though, that
was. I remember that audition because I felt so confident. It was good. And because like it's a big deal to be a part of that show.
It's a big deal to be an end in Chisel Whizzle because like you get to stand out. You have to audition. You have to rehearse for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the show and the preparation and everything coming together makes it very much worth it. But then you get to like stand out in the lobby after the shows are done and greet people. Like you're like a Hollywood star
Seriously,
for a week.
Yeah, it was
as much as you can be in Augusta, Maine.
Did they? I don't know if they changed it for a year after, but how they revealed who made it was they put it on the board.
Yeah.
Like just print out your name. And
Yep.
I remember like the mass of people just going
Oh,
over
I
to
know.
the board and like hoping
and
to
then it
see
would
your
like
name.
get on, and then instantly Facebook would blow up or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
or Yik Yak or whatever we were doing back in the day. Like it was insane. Like the amount
Crazy.
of I mean, I remember Mr. Wells being the interlocutor back at the old Coney.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, that guy's a legend in his own right, in his own time and everything like that. But like, that's what, I'll be honest with you, going to that show when I was like a kindergartner, that inspired me. Like, you can even ask both of my parents, like, if you ever run into him, did Ryan always want to be in Switzerland? I did. Like, I saw
awesome.
that, dude, and I was just like, and so being an end for me was like it was a lifelong mission, I guess,
That's
indirectly.
awesome.
Like, I was like, if I go to Coney for high school, we're going to be in Shizzle Whistle. You know what I mean? Like, we will find a way in, either via my talent or via my idiocracy. But, like, one of the two will get us in there. But
no, you always had a great voice, a great soulful, deep voice. I remember we were rocking it in the bass section.
Yes, dude, we were. Yeah,
so
and that's
fun.
we were basses. I started out, was funny. I don't know if you started out as a different part and then dropped down as your voice. Like,
oh no, I was.
You were always a
I
bass.
was starting bass.
Dude, I started out as a fucking like tenor one or some shit, like high, like very much like Josh Cormier, like very high, like angelic, like, and then it was just by the time I graduated, boom, you know, like but honestly, like in realizing the role that the bass brings, like you are like the bass guitar, the rhythm section for choral music, because you're providing that bottom end, which
for sure.
which adds so much character to the music.
Yeah, it fills it out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, definitely. Were you on we did a few trips for both the band and chorus. Did you go to the Williamsburg trip?
Yes.
It would have been your sophomore year, my freshman year.
I believe so.
Yeah, we got to go down to Colonial Williamsburg and perform in like the theater that was in Colonial Williams. The band didn't get to, but the chorus did. The band had to go over to Newport News, to that high school. And Newport News is a really rough place. Like, like I talk to people that live in Virginia, and they're like, why the fuck they put you there?
I'm trying to think back. I remember going on a few trips down there. I remember...
You were. I'm like 99% sure you were there.
I'm pretty sure I was. Oh, you know what? Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah, because I don't... Was I in the... I think I was just in chorus.
In chorus. Right.
I don't know if I did the band...
Because you were a trumpet player, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Trumpet. I don't know if I did the trumpet that year, if it was just singing. Maybe it was both. I don't know. But I just remember a lot of those trips. Like the big one, this was a few years prior to that, but was the Washington trip. Did you...
I went to St. Mike's, so I never got to do like the DC trip. Our thing for St. Mike's was to go to Boston, and I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I was like, that was the big thing for Coney Middle School, is everybody got to go to DC. You always hear about those trips. Crazy shit happened, you know, like et cetera and so forth. Like for middle school, you know, like
Yep, but
exactly.
Good times. But yeah, no, I always appreciated the bass line that we had.
Oh, definitely.
It was solid. I can't remember the other guy's name. He was an upperclassman.
Oh, Sam Birch.
Sam Birch.
Yep.
Oh, that man had a beautiful
was probably
bass voice.
Oh, and I mean, like,
shout out to
Sam Birch. Yeah, I ran. Oh, actually, funny enough, one of my buddies now lives down the street from his parents.
Oh, yeah?
There's like they have their lane out in like Windsor or Cooper's Mills out in the country. It's like Birch Lane, and my buddy Nick Dubord, who was in my year, he goes, yeah, like I live down the street from Sam Birch's parents now, and my mom had cleaned Sam and his parents' teeth and he knew the family real well, and so it was like it's just small town, you know, Maine, you know, like everybody knows each other, but like, and especially all the chorus kids hung out together, you know, like especially those of us that were in madrigals, like I mean, we all like hung out and were really tight.
It was a family.
It was a family, and it was awesome because like it was a very accepting thing. Like everybody had their hands. They weren't just like music theater kids, which I feel like.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it's like, no, these were like kids who were athletes. They were artists, like outside of like the music medium or the band medium or whatever.
Crossover.
There was it was just such a cool culmination of like such like interesting people too.
Yeah.
I think of like some of the people. I mean, obviously, I still keep in contact from high school are. Chorus folks. I mean, I'm DJing Lena Toby's wedding here in in October.
That's awesome.
In October this month. Or the month. But it's interesting. You know, where like I said, where everybody is now, and just kind of how we all started at this very, very, very small place, really. That is, Coney High School. And I guess making another segue back to you, buddy. Did you always call Augusta home, or have you lived in different? I mean, now obviously you don't live in Augusta. So
yeah. I was. I moved around a little bit, but primarily, so when I first came to Maine, I started in the Augusta school system.
Yep.
I think it was 4th grade.
Yep.
I went to Farrington first.
Yep.
And then my mom moved me away for a little bit for like a month. It was like a month or 3 months or something that. Ended up in Hollowell for a little bit.
Okay.
But that didn't work out. We came. I really protested that.
Yep.
I was a little brat, and I was like, yeah, no, I gotta go back. So then I ended up back in the Augusta school system.
Right on.
And then just went up.
Yep.
After
Right from
that.
there. Yep.
Yeah. Well, except my freshman year of high school, for one day I went to a different high school.
Did you?
Yeah, I was supposed to move to Booth Bay because my parents split and everything.
Yep,
so my dad was in Booth Bay, mom was in Augusta, and they were trying to get me to go down to Booth Bay, which, in their defense, was a nice school system.
Oh, yeah.
But I wasn't having it, so I went. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I lasted one day, and then I came back to high school.
Came back to Coney.
Yeah,
that's
and then
too funny.
all the way up. So I guess I would say definitely Augusta is, I would say, my childhood home.
Your main childhood home.
I spent most of my time here, and then my senior year of high school, it was definitely split. I was actually, well, I can say it now, it doesn't matter, but I was traveling from Booth Bay to Augusta.
I had no idea.
And we had to keep it under wraps because of
right. Yeah. I mean, you already have your diploma. You're 10 years out. What are they going to
do?
do? No, you go to the reunion. You're the one fucking planning it. Good luck.
It would do me a favor if they kicked me out to save me some time. Please, go ahead.
Oh, do it. We're begging you. Yeah, no. You won't, Silsby.
Is she still principal?
She's still principal.
No way.
Yeah, dude.
What?
Yeah, she's still principal.
Dude, that's awesome. But yeah, so that was some time, man. Traveling every day, and it was hard in the winter. I was always late to.
That explains so much now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why you were late all the time for first period?
All the time. Yeah,
which happened to be chorus.
And I couldn't tell people.
Right? No, because you'd get kicked out.
Yeah.
Well, they'd say either pick. They'd make you pick.
Yeah. My only ever detention I ever got was because I was late too many
tardy.
times.
Yeah. So I think what was it at County? If you were late 3 times, you got a detention. Yeah. Which.
Yeah.
Again, like if you're driving yourself, okay, you can blame the kid.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10. The kids that were late, it wasn't always the kid's fault. And that's just something that always bothered me.
Yeah.
It was like, come down on the fucking parents. Don't come down on the kids. Again, it's situationally different. But
I did spill the beans, though, when I got the detention because I was like, just freaking on my record. I'm like,
oh, I know.
I was a teacher's pet back then for sure. So anything like that was really, I was like.
It was a big no-no. You're like, I'm going to get out from this.
So I had Mr. Poulin as my homeroom advisor teacher. And so I told him, and he was like, so you have to go down to detention, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to leave. And if you decide to stay or leave, I'm not going to know. And so it was freaking awesome. So
that's awesome.
I got you. All right.
All right.
So
that's why I loved a lot of the teachers at Coney. And
they understood.
He was one of them. Mr. Poulin was one of them. I never actually had him. I just shot the shit with him on various occasions. Yeah. But I think Mr. Millett. I mean, I was real good with Mr. Millett, Mr. DeYoung, Mr. Topman, Mr. Cooper, Bruce Cooper.
Yeah.
Also the security guard, Mr. Cooper too.
Yep.
Kirk. And there's Miss Rodrigue, Mr. Wells. There are so many. Miss Tripp. And funny enough, speaking of Coney teachers, I ran into Miss Buxton a couple months ago.
Really?
I was working over doing electrical work for Augusta Fuel over at South Parish Congregational, the church over there.
Yeah.
In the right up from downtown, and I was coming down the stairs, and I'm like, I know that voice, and I go, Miss Buxton. She goes, Ryan, because I still had long hair at the time.
Awesome.
And I guess for the podcast's sake, I have cut my hair. I don't no longer have a ponytail. So
yeah.
But that said, though,
Did
she
goes.
Retire? She goes. She's been retired for a little while now.
Okay.
And she goes, I thought you were off doing big political things. And I said, I was. And then I wasn't. And now here I am doing electrical at your church. And she goes, you're still doing big things. I said, oh, you bet you bet I am.
Yeah. You ran. I listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
You
I appreciate
ran an entire freaking campaign, dude.
I had some help.
Awesome.
I had some help. I had some very good bosses.
Yeah.
But like I said, I ran everything in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire was the only quick segue. New Hampshire was the only state we had any operation in anyway. So yeah, by proxy, I was I ran the show, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, that taught me, and I don't want to get too deep into that by any means, but that did teach me a lot, though. And it was a very good teachable moment unto the sense, like, do I want to do this for my entire life? Because I guess part of the reason I picked trade work, too, is because of the consistency. Like, you're always going to need an electrician. You're always going to need one, unless society literally collapses and the grid fails. You know, or we have solar flares or something like that. Something really catastrophic happens. You're always going to need electricians and plumbers and, like, those types of people. And so, like, I was just, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Casey, and I mean, like, while we're talking about it, I felt just like when I was unemployed, and I just kind of felt useless. It was like I went to school for 4 years at a very prestigious political school, and I worked for this one guy. The Republican Party blacklisted me, and I mean, I got to find a new job. I mean, don't get me wrong, teaching was great, but I have my own personal, you know, gripes with administration and things like that because, like I said, I mean, like, I'll just give you an example. When I was teaching, dude, COVID.
It was during COVID,
It was during COVID. It was the COVID year. I couldn't get I had to, like, basically bribe somebody to get an ed tech to come in my room. And I've never taught before. I'm not qualified to handle special ed kids.
Yeah.
And I have the most and I don't, you know, it's not like I don't like them. I have the most love. Some of my favorite kids were on the spectrum in some way, shape, or form. You know, like, but I wanted them to get the help they fucking deserve.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that was the infuriating part. Like,
sure.
Casey, I had kids that couldn't write sentences in 7th grade, and I brought it up in an English department meeting one time.
Yeah.
And they said, ooh, we don't talk about what goes on at the elementary level. And basically, like, it's not our problem. But, like, you act like you're the big dogs. You're the high school. It is your fucking problem.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, to be told by people that I was educated by, and I'm not going to name names just for, for the sake of things, but to be told by people that I looked up to and also, like, learned from and who taught me that education was one of the most important things ever and the importance of being able to read, write, and chew gum, basically told me to stay in my lane and be quiet.
Wow.
I was floored, dude. And like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but it's like, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And that and a few other things that happened towards the end of the year it just was like, I need to go out and find something. And don't get me wrong, teaching is a very stable education. There will always be teachers in some capacity. But I just had to do something that was a little bit more hands-on. Sitting behind a desk, to be honest with you, dude, was driving me crazy.
Oh, I know the feeling, brother. I know the feeling. It's crazy. But no, that's disappointing to hear. It really is.
It is, and it was
definitely need the extra hands in there to help facilitate the class, but also make sure that they're getting the help that they need.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I mean, but like, I never brought work home with me. Like, I corrected all my paper, well, exception of like some essays I had to bring home and read. Like, but like, you know, there was like I had to teach like from I had to get like teach from home when I was a close contact, which was crazy. I was already, like I'm sitting at home worried about getting COVID, and like weird. Here I am having to still teach and just like ignore it. Like I'm not saying, I mean, how are you not gonna like? It's like, oh, just don't think about it. How are you not gonna think about that? You get a call at the end of the day. You know, I was home all of 5 minutes. I get the call from the office. Hey, one of your, you were in close contact with one of your students. Well, obviously, we can't tell you who it is. And I said, I already know who it is. I said, like, you can't keep no secrets in this place. And they go, we didn't hear that. I go, all right, fine. That's fine. But it's just like, I have a lot of love. And I even said that, as I guess in my exit interview as I was leaving the school, which I had to request, which was weird. Usually they debrief at the end of the year, or at least I thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a professional, and that's a weird thing up here. But I was just like, I was honestly like kind of heartbroken into the sense like I love Coney. I bleed red and white pretty hard. Like I mean I still coached up until last year when I started school. Like I was coaching Coney boys soccer, for the longest time with Marcio. Who actually lives down the street.
You had him on the podcast.
Yeah, I did. And I loved it. And actually, funny enough, I walked into my blueprint reading class up at KVCC.
Yeah.
And one of my kids that was a senior last year is in that class with me. I go, well, if you need anything, Coach is right here. He goes, it's just good to see you. I'm like, it's good to see you too, bud. Yeah. It's good to see you too. I mean, there are some really great kids still in the city of. There are great kids everywhere, but there are some really great. Like I said, I'm biased. Augusta's a special place, but I see some things, dude, that scare me. A lot. Like you haven't been around town, but like we've got the homeless or the unhomed. I don't know the proper terminology. That's a huge problem. I know it's definitely starting to create some friction with business owners in downtown, with people loitering and such. Like
it's really bad in
and just the
Portland
drug epidemic. Yeah, is that where you call home these days? Are you down in Portland?
I'm in the Gorham area, so just outside of Gorham.
Yeah, but
still,
less expensive, I mean, do you spend most of your like day in Portland or in the Portland?
For the most part, yeah. So
how has that been as a change? Because I'll be honest with you, like the more I'm in Portland, the less I kind of want to be there. Like I just want to be like kind of away from things. Like I don't want to be like in with the country bumpkins, but I'd like to be.
That's why I love Gorham.
Yeah.
Gorham is about excuse me, is about 15 or maybe not that much, about 10-15 minutes from Portland.
Right.
And it's far enough away where you're not in the mix of things. But it's close enough if you want to go do something.
Right.
Friday night, Saturday night. Old Port's a great place to hang out, grab some beers, stuff like that. But I love that I can escape. I don't have to
be there all the time.
Yeah. Struggle with friggin' parking.
Well, that and like the price. I don't know if you rent or own, but like.
That's the other reason why I couldn't. At the time, I couldn't afford Portland. Let's just be real.
Portland,
I was fresh out of college.
Yep.
And trying to find an apartment, and this was 2018, and it was crazy. It was crazy, and it's only gotten more crazy.
Actually, it's gotten worse.
I don't know how people can afford an apartment nowadays. It's rent is more expensive than a freaking mortgage.
Yeah.
And
and it's like
heck?
It's like
let's see if you can find something. It's nuts.
I had a talk with a former employer, and I said, listen. I said, to afford a 2-bedroom, or not even a 2-bedroom, a 1-bedroom, decent apartment in Augusta, you need to be making $22 an hour.
Yeah.
And like I said, even still, like some of these places they call like affordable housing and stuff. It's like I know everybody needs a home. Everybody can live how they want to live. If you want to live rough, you can live rough. That's America.
Yeah.
But like. There are folks that probably don't want to live in, places that just reek. If you're not a cigarette smoker, you want to be away from cigarette. You know what I'm getting at. Not trying to stereotype by any means, but you know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like there's a difference between affordable housing and like Section 8 housing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, like the folks that are in Section 8, those are a whole different laundry list of problems that can be. But I'm talking about for the average, like either blue or white collar, hardworking American, or just the young professional. Really, it should be the young professional, because that's really, if you want to like, and young professional can be somebody in the trades, can be somebody in your field, in like the real estate photography and the different things that you do in your medium. It can also be somebody in the medical field. It can be somebody that even picks up the fucking garbage, as far as I'm concerned. Who's a trash collector. If you're a professional, you come to work on time. You pay your you do what you're supposed to do in society. You know what I mean? Like
you contribute.
You contribute exactly, and it's just like, and not to say that folks that don't contribute aren't worth anything or anything like not saying that at all or anything like crazy like that. But just like for the average, it's amazing how hard it is in America for the average hardworking person.
Oh, yeah,
that's the killer.
Yeah,
in Maine, and in the United States as a whole.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like you said though, it's more than your mortgage to rent.
Absolutely.
That's just nuts.
Absolutely.
And you're not getting anything. I mean, okay, maybe you can say like it's helping your credit score or something like that. I don't know. Like I don't even know, but like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's why I still live at home.
Yeah. No, I mean, trust me, I have a lot of opinions about this particular
please.
subject.
I mean, like I said, you also kind of it's a good segue anyway. But
I see a lot of it in my daily work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's painful, man. Mm-hmm. It's painful, and then you have to get like 6 freaking roommates to afford a place.
And we're not even in like Boston. We're in Maine, guys.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and you look at other markets like out west, like LA and stuff. It's like it's crazy out there too. But like Maine is like almost right in there. It's not as expensive, but it's right. But
given like
close.
The difference in like income and stuff like that,
exactly.
like it does equal. It really does kind of equal out. And the difference in population and things like that. Like if you look at the different factors and apply them as their
the cost of living and everything.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And
I mean, the only thing that you can't compare is like, I guess you could say their cooling costs to our heating costs, because like they have probably higher electricity bills because they have to run air conditioning year round or something. But case in point, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But no, it's crazy. It's crazy if you're trying to find a place to rent, or just anyone that's just a young professional trying to find a place to call home, it's near impossible.
Yeah, and like one of the biggest things I learned from my time on the campaign trail, especially, and this was in New Hampshire, so not that different to what we experience here in Maine. I went to affordable housing summit with one of the guys who was there was an alumni of St. A's, so talked with the guy a little bit beforehand, so I had a pretty good idea what was going on. And then I've talked about her, Clara Monier. She was oddly enough, head of housing for Ronald Reagan for the Northeast, and he's not exactly known as a guy who is really great at giving people places to live. Or making neighborhoods safe for people. So that said, though, she actually did things the right way, though. Like in the as we do in New England for the most part, we're very much looking out for each other, and very much like, again, as she said, if you don't have a good, secure home, you're not going to be a contributing citizen. She says you're not going to be contributing in the ways you're less likely to vote. You're less likely to pay taxes. You're less likely to do this. And she goes, all the things that we need people to do for this society to keep functioning, for the American, project to keep turning, is just like that is literally the first building block.
Yeah.
An education and a place to live.
Yeah. I mean,
the job comes after.
One of the things that I learned very quickly is like, if you're trying to just survive, you can't thrive.
No.
And it's you live in a completely different world.
The survivor's mentality. Trying to get that out at the end of the day. Trying to talk. Blah, blah, blah. The survivor's mentality, though, is insane. Yeah. Like you're in fight or flight all the time, or like, am I going to get a next meal? Like, whatever. It's it's almost primal. You're almost reduced to like a primal state of being, because it's like, oh God, am I going to make it? Like like that's like, it's crazy. And I feel like a lot of people are like, not that I'm saying like we're in crisis mode or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of people are slowly kind of falling into that not trap, but like into that position because of how things are just kind of going. Like, like you said, high costs in terms of trying to find a place to live and everything like that. It's just like, what's a boy to do?
and what's crazy is I hear this all the time from either real estate agents or just friends. It's just like, if you're trying to find an apartment, like there's a bidding war. Yeah. In the Portland area for apartments. People are putting it like, so the landlord would post the price, and then people are going in and being like, I'll pay you this much more. And I'm just like, a bidding war for an apartment?
Do you guys realize what you're doing?
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, I know.
Oh, my goodness. And then you got, first and last. So, like, to move into a freaking place, you're dropping $3,000 to $4,000, and that's like on the low end.
Yeah, I mean, that's because you got last month, security.
Yeah.
I mean, and then if they want, like, something, your firstborn, or like for you to jump through like 6 hoops instead of 3, like and also perform open heart surgery at the same time. Like, it's just like, it's like, how many it's just frustrating.
And Lord forbid you have an animal.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like, God forbid you want to have some companionship and you're not actively dating or something. You have a cat or a dog or something. It's like, God forbid you don't want to be completely fucking isolated.
Man, I'm living that truth right now. I want a dog. So
I know,
freaking
dude.
bad. I can't tell you.
Oh, I feel you.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Dogs are great. So the neighbors have little Shih Tzu, small dogs.
Yeah.
You got Ollie and Angus, dude.
Yeah.
They went away for a wedding, and honestly, my dad and I took care of them. Most fun I've ever had. And it's like, but they're small dogs. Who cares? Dogs are dogs. If you like big dogs, big dogs, they knock shit over. They make messes. It's like, don't get me wrong. I'd own a big dog if the opportunity presented itself. If I had plenty of space, blah blah blah. But like, honestly, some of these small dogs have more character, personality, and frankly, sometimes intelligence than some of these bigger dogs. It's kind of funny. Like, they can pick up on shit. Like, it's like, what's going on, buddy? Don't get me wrong. There are dumb dogs everywhere. Just like there are dumb people everywhere. But like, dude, it's just dogs are great. We're very much pro dog here on the DuView podcast. And some of my friends have either had great dogs, or like, I'm sure you can speak for the same. It's like, oh, so and so's dog. Like my buddy Lucas, who's been on the podcast a bunch, dude. He had a dog. He's his dog now, Bobo. And Bobo is like a hound, and so he's got like he's a mixed breed, but he's got like a giraffe neck. He's got that long neck. He's long. Long neck. He's a long-necked dog. He's so funny though. He used to be, and it's cool to see like certain dogs, like especially like rescue dogs, like. And also one of my other friends, Kelly, who's also Kelly Colbath, who's been on the podcast a bunch. She has her rescue dog Luna, and to see where those dogs started and those dogs are now, man. who saved who, but but also like these dogs went from being like completely unsociable to like completely normalized, functioning members of society, which is amazing. That's what I told both of them. I'll just give them time, a little bit of love. Amazing what that'll do.
Yep. Yep.
Amazing what
for
that'll
everyone
do.
too, not just dogs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's for people. People too. Especially people.
I dog sitted my sister's dog
for
a couple of days this past week, and I didn't want to give him back.
You never do.
I was like, no, I'm
They're like, you
keeping
can come
him
over
now.
whenever, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like, it's not that I just want to come visit them. I want to take them home and never give them back. Like, that's it. See, like, possession is 9/10 of the law, and I'm about to steal your dogs.
Yeah, yeah. Currently in my apartment building, which I'm trying. I don't know if I can say this publicly yet, but I am. Here we go. I'm trying to buy the building.
Oh, okay.
But right now you can't have any animals in there, and so I'm talking to the landlord. And we're in talks right now to try to purchase it.
Yeah,
and that's the first thing I'm changing.
I don't blame you, dude.
So when I had my sister's dog over, I wasn't supposed to have him, and I was kind of like hiding and whatnot. But but I'm like, oh my goodness, just coming home to a dog that is excited.
Coming home to somebody who's excited to see you.
Yeah.
And not just because you feed him, but because it's like, dude, like, I've been home alone all day. Like,
love me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, yes.
Yes, of course.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's the first thing that's changing.
Nice. Yeah, I don't blame you there.
So I just got to decide on what type of dog I want to get.
Yeah. That's the tough part.
I'm leaning more towards like a medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
I don't know what breed or anything like that, but we're still deciding. But.
Yeah. Hey, you got the time, buddy.
Yeah.
You got the time. And speaking of what takes up a majority of your time, is your business.
Yeah.
And I said real estate photography. Is that truly what you do? I don't want to misinterpret it, but like just kind of give us a
real estate media.
Yeah, real estate media. Perfect.
Yeah. So
just kind of tell us what you do, buddy.
So I own a real estate media company.
Right on.
KR Real Estate Media. I'm not wearing a hat. This is a different hat.
That's okay. I'm sure you probably wear it all day at work. So
it's filthy. It's kind of like that one.
Yeah,
and it has the white netting on the back.
Oh yeah, that doesn't stay.
Gross.
Oh, if you saw the actual backside of this hat, you'd be like, no wonder you're only wearing it so that people can see the front. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I the little backstory how I got there.
Yeah, please.
So went to college, went to Husson.
Yes.
That's 4 years. I went in for audio engineering.
Well, see, that's what I had thought. I thought you were gonna end up being like a record producer.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, dude. I mean, I could with the audio equipment I have.
That's right. I appreciate your audio.
I could start a studio tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like that's always. And I mean, not to get too, but like you saying that gets me excited because I want to produce things.
When
too.
I walked in, I was like, "You're legit."
I'll have to bring you in, dude. I'm gonna have to bring you in one of these times. You're gonna guest produce something. But anyway, real estate media.
I wanted to be a record producer and all that stuff.
That's fascinating though. Good
so
for you.
I found a college. Because my first college I was trying to get to was Full Sail in Florida.
Oh yeah,
crazy expensive.
Yep.
And then I found this gem in Bangor at Husson. It was NESCOM.
Yeah, NESCOM.
New England School of Communication.
My dad even went to NESCOM, so he wanted to go to radio. He went to radio school for a little bit. And
so I guess so. Technically, they are a radio school as far as what they offer.
This was back in like the 70s.
Yeah, back then they were strictly just a radio. Yep. They were like a radio broadcaster.
It's cool that that's still around though. It's obviously grown and evolved.
It's grown quite big.
Excellent.
So now they have a whole audio department there. So you can study. They're mainly focused on live entertainment.
Yes.
But you can study for you have two options for audio, basically live and then like the studio.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I went for the studio portion of it.
Right.
And I got there, and I get freshman in college, right? Just graduated high school. You were king of the world in high school, and then
now you're king shit, if anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything's so new, but you're playing like you got this, like you know what you're doing, but you scared shit, right? So I put up a good front, but
as we do, yeah.
First year, sitting in the lecture hall, it was one of their bigger classrooms there, and a bunch of students, and we get talking about audio, and the teacher, I can't remember his name, but very animated teacher, great guy. He started talking about all the things that all these audio students before us has done and where they are now, and working with these different bands and stuff, like big names and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so we get diving into it. We start learning this stuff, and I find myself sitting there and kind of dazing off, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm supposed to love this thing. Right. I mean, I was recording like my friends' bands and stuff in my parents' basement. Right. You know, my little computer on GarageBand. And
hey, GarageBand's great.
Yeah. And so I was like, I want to learn more about this. And so I get to school, and then I realize I'm learning it, but I'm not like feeling this. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm an audio guy. I'm supposed to be all over this. I'm
supposed to be all over it. Right. Yep.
And so I started looking around me, and I saw the other students. They were like hunched over their seats, just like absorbing the information and having the best of time. And I'm over here sitting like, I ain't feeling what he's feeling.
Yeah, right. I'm not picking up what he's putting down like that. Yeah. So
I was like, it's just because I'm a freshman. This is new. It's new, different environment. It's college.
Right.
It'll pass. And then a full semester goes by, and I'm still sitting there,
doing the same thing. Yeah.
And then second semester comes, and you have to take a elective or prereq or whatever they call it. I wasn't a prereq, but it was one of the mandatory classes that you had to take in order to pass it. It had nothing to do with audio.
It was like one of your core classes. Yeah, gotta love those.
That one was an intro to video class. And so it was, now mind you, freshman in college, right?
Right.
This class was a Friday class from 6 to 9 p.m. on a Friday.
Who let them teach it at that time?
I am a freshman in college wanting the full experience.
Were you the only one in there?
No. It was a full class.
No way.
Let's just say it wasn't the most desired class to go to.
That's fair.
So I was like, oh my freaking goodness, here we go, 6 to 9, and all the audio kids, even the professor was like, you got to take it, keep your head down, just get to the class, and you'll be done one semester, and it's over. And so I go to this class, 6 o'clock at night on a Friday, and the teacher starts talking, and he pulls out a camera, he starts showing movies and stuff like that, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, all right. I go in thinking, this is going to suck. I don't want to do this. Why am I here?
And let me guess, you fell in love, didn't you?
Instantly.
That's awesome.
Instantly. He brought out the camera. He started talking about all these different things, movies, and what other students have done.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wait, what? And so everything he said, I wanted more.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that I was the kid.
Like the audio kids were, absorbing
all of this information.
That's amazing.
And I just wanted more and more. And so I was like, okay, this is weird. I'm not supposed to like this class.
Right.
And I'm loving it.
Am I about to change majors right now?
Seriously, man. And then I went back and forth, talked to my advisors and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm thinking about jumping ship.
They're like, what?
They're like, you've already done a whole year of audio. You would be starting as a freshman for video.
I understand.
And I was like, yeah, but I don't know. I still want to do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, because at the time I was doing audio and also minoring in business administration. So I had that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then so they were like, just tip your toe into video a little bit. And so I was like, yeah, but to do 3. It would have been 2 majors and the minor, and I'm like, that's a lot. And so, I went back and forth, and I kept going obviously back to the audio courses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I was just not feeling it.
Right.
And so in this 6 and 9 class, I was looking forward to it every week, and I was like, yeah, I can't wait for that class. And I was just having so much fun in the class.
Right. Yep.
And it was mainly because of how the teacher taught the class.
That's a huge thing. Delivery.
Part.
I mean, it's like a joke, right? If you have a stand-up comedian that's stinking the place out, dude, there's no delivery, there's no reading the room, right? But like, like a lot of like those high school teachers that I spoke about for Coney, like same thing with like those who inspire us in college. It's the ones who they get it. You know what I mean? They have the delivery. They have the means of relaying this information, and not just this is how the game goes. Like you actually get like an animated, like interesting, like encapsulating type of experience. that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, when you find something you love like that, like that's love. It's like a love at first sight type
it
thing
truly
almost.
is.
And that
It
like
truly is.
that's when they asked me, "Do you believe in it?" It's like you have to because shit like that happens. You know, like I mean that's incredible. And so I guess like obviously some of the audio editing stuff like obviously probably did help
for sure.
But it's like it is a
sure.
different medium in its own right. It's like I can audio edit in no time. Video editing takes me for fucking ever.
It's a lot. So when I did finally, I was like, I'm not gonna do this back and forth thing. And it was the first time in my life where I had to make a major decision.
Yes. Where you can't go back, really.
You can't really go back.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm having so much fun with this video. I'm not really feeling it audio anymore. I'm gonna make the jump. Against my counsel, they were like, yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah. Right.
And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm taking a leap.
Yep.
And so now, mind you, I already paid for a whole year of freaking
audio school, yeah.
And so I know nothing about video, absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I'm coming in a year behind, and here I am getting ready to jump major, and I'm like, yep, screw it.
We're going. We're jumping. Yeah.
And that was one of the first big leaps of my life that I've taken, where I didn't have a safety net, I didn't have a parachute, I just jumped off the cliff.
Yep. Hey, that's important.
Yeah.
I find myself struggling at times to make decisions like that. So like that's important when you're just like we're doing it. We're going for it. That's awesome.
It was by far one of the most important decisions I ever made, and one of the best decisions I could have ever made in my life.
Obviously you're standing here today, and I mean your job. I mean, it's multimedia. It's different faceted.
Yeah.
But imagery and that type of thing is a huge
sure.
part of what you do, and like getting the angles, getting the light. I mean, I dabble. You know what I mean? I'm not like full on into anything like that. I mean, like I'll have the first vlog. I'm doing actually a vlog from my trip to Arizona.
Oh yeah.
So I like went around with a GoPro and like
nice.
did some things. It'll be on YouTube. Like I'm not like a masterful in any way, but like
Arizona's
that. But
beautiful.
it is. Oh my god.
Oh my
You've been?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Trip. Yeah.
Oh my god. I want to go back so bad.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I found this thing on Instagram. He's like that guy who goes on vacation.
Yeah.
I could live here.
Yeah.
It's like I'm that guy. Like anywhere I go, it's like.
Where did you end up?
So we landed in Phoenix.
Yep, that's right.
And we stayed in an Air Bnb in Tempe, which is awesome.
That's exactly where I was. We flew into Phoenix.
Yep.
My friend that we were visiting out there was in Tempe or Tempe. Whatever.
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. I mean, so that's funny.
Yeah, and then we went to the first day. We went to Goldfield Ghost Town.
Okay.
In the Superstitions Mountains.
Yeah.
I'm a big cowboy, Western type. So, there's also some great photos I'll have to share from that trip. Dude. There's me with the Superstitions Mountains behind me. One of my buddies, Pony, had bought a cowboy hat, and he goes, "Put this on." He has like some really like tasteful photos of me in a cowboy hat, which I never thought. Like I'm wearing like AF1s, like custom AF1s, like with a cowboy hat. And I'm like, that's a 21st century cowboy right there buddy.
There it is, son. I love that.
But getting back to, I guess your and also went to the Grand Canyon too, which was again pictures can't describe. Video does it no justice.
Was that your first time out there?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was amazing, and
I
want to go back really badly. And I also want to do like south of Las Vegas and like into Utah, like obviously the Arches National Park, but also Zion. Like there's some like crazy places out there that are also very beautiful, and the desert's awesome. I love the desert.
We did a whole. It was like I think almost 2,000 miles or something like that. We drove.
Oh my gosh.
We flew into Phoenix, Tempe, stayed there, Flagstaff, Sedona.
Yep.
All of that. Went around Zion, sand dunes we hit, and then Grand Canyon, and then we ended in Vegas for a night.
That's incredible.
Back to Phoenix. It was one of the best trips I've ever taken in my life by far.
Yeah.
And it was with the right people, so that helped too, so.
I can also say the same thing with my trip. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got some great, especially my great friends from home, but also great college friends who I've done a good amount of traveling with actually. Especially my roommates from college. We've done Ireland together. Yeah. We were all on the same bachelor trip down to Louisville, Kentucky, which was great. Yeah. I don't know if you're a bourbon man or a hard liquor guy, but like
I'm a Tito's guy.
Okay. That's good vodka.
I love me some Tito's. That's about it though.
But if you ever have an opportunity to go down there, I mean, like once you go to one tasting, it's kind of like going to all the tastings. But all the different types of bourbons that there are, it's amazing. There's some really like you're like. That's smooth. Even if you don't like bourbon, you know, it's like I recommend everybody go down and try it because it's like you got some people it's like their craft, you know, it's like they're putting their blood, sweat, and tears into some really incredible spirits, frankly.
Yeah.
But talking about your craft a little bit more, and I guess like getting back into you come into your second year at Husson, a year behind, I mean a day late and $1 short in a lot of ways.
Pretty much, exactly.
But you're in love with what you do.
I absolutely love it.
And so how can you? I mean, careful there.
I'm
but
loving
how can
it.
you not?
So that I finished up that year. That's what I'm saying. How we taught the class was definitely how I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
He gave us rubrics, but he was like, "This is just a guideline. You can go above and beyond the rubric." And I did. I was all in. I was taking out gear that I wasn't even supposed to take out at that level. But I was friends with the people that were, because it was all run by the student body and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I was friends with that. I made friends with the people who had permissions really quick.
Yeah,
and so,
you do. Right.
They just gave me some gear and stuff that I wasn't supposed to take out. But I just got my hands on it early on. And I will give credit to Husson and to NESCOM. They are fantastic when it comes to like getting the gear in your hand, and they always
hands-on experience, right?
To the newest, latest technology.
You're not using like video cameras from the 80s or something like that. So that's nice.
So it's an awesome program if you know what you're going to study for. And I say that because like I wanted to be more in the film world, which their main focus is broadcast, so like live events, football, baseball games, stuff like that. Fantastic program. It's definitely not a film school. So you don't want to go there thinking I'm going to be the next Alfred
Hitchcock.
It's
like,
not
or
that
Tarantino
kind of school
or whatever.
But you definitely can still learn all of the fundamentals, and you can still learn that sector of film for sure. I mean, we had a independent film that NESCOM would put on every year. The student body would. It was adjacent to all the class. It was like this extracurricular thing. It was this big project they did every year. The entire student body would work on it, and it was completely student run from beginning to end, from writing it, producing it, to all that.
That's awesome.
And so a group of friends, one of my best friends now, Joe, he was like, I want to run a production. I want to have a movie produced by NESCOM, the school, and I want the whole student body. And so he came to me and he was like, I want to do this. And I was like, all right, yeah, sounds like fine, yeah, sure, whatever. But he was adamant. He was passionate about it, and he got it off the ground. He started talking to the faculty and all that. And so when he started talking to them, and they would like, he gave them the green light as far as coming up with an idea. I was like, oh, all right, he's serious about this. And so I was like, okay.
This man's done his research.
What are we going to do? And at that point, the school had always done, like, zombie type movies, like horror movies, just, like, really just doom and gloom type vibes.
There was a vibe, and it was not good.
Not all of it was that way, but the majority of it.
Right.
And I just wasn't a part of that. I was I'm not feeling that.
I honestly, like, what are you, like a drama guy or like
more
serious, trying to like tell a good story?
Tell a good story and more realistic type environments.
I agree.
You know?
I agree.
And so we toured around with a couple different ideas, played around with this and that. And then someone in our group mentioned, how about we do a musical? And given my background, obviously, right? I was like, guys, I'm only going to say this once. Don't tease me about a musical if we're not going to do it. If this is going to be one of those things where we just say, hey, let's try
do a musical,
and it doesn't happen.
I'm going to be disappointed.
And
a little upset.
I was like, I don't want to hear another word unless you were all serious. And they were like, no, we actually think we can do it. And I was like, all right, I'm on board.
All right.
And so we started formulating the idea. I wrote and produced all of the music for it.
No shit.
And so we produced a musical.
That's awesome.
And it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life.
Probably one of the greatest creative experiences of your life as well.
Yeah, it was one of the most challenging too.
Oh
my goodness. We hit problem after problem. But the production, we ran that production. And again, we have the entire student body. working with us, and so it took a little bit to get greenlit on it because the school at that point had come off a couple of pretty big failures in that sector. And so when you put all this resource and time and it doesn't pan out, the next group of kids who decide, hey, let's do what we haven't been really doing all that great in the past, let's make it harder by doing a musical, and let's pitch it to the faculty.
And then also pitch it and get it greenlit.
And they're like, how about you just do a regular movie, a regular talkie? And we're like, nah, we're pretty
much set on this musical thing.
And they're like, you know how much harder that is? And we're like, yeah. And so it took a minute to get them on board because they couldn't see what we saw. And to their point, I get it. You know, we had a group of kids prior to us with the same enthusiasm go up there and be like, we're going to make this work. This is going to be awesome, blah, blah. And then here we are doing the same thing. But I remember we looked them in the eye and we were like, we are not those kids that came before us. We are a different group of people, and we want to make this
We're making
work.
The musical.
And so we had a couple of professors that saved us, that really went to bat for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we got it greenlit. Great production. Not my words, but one of the faculty was like, that was one of the best run productions we've ever seen. I was a producer on it, a co-producer. We had 2 other producers. And my goodness, I couldn't have done it without those 2 other producers. My friend Joe was directing it, and another friend of mine, Nick, another good one of my best friends, he was on board helping out. He was a very crucial part in the whole, from conception to completion, all of that.
Right.
And we fought a lot of battles.
I'm sure
a lot of battles that we didn't know we were gonna fight, especially from the school. It was just, I'll say this because there's a lot of controversy behind it, but I'll say it was just a lack of communication.
Yes.
And leave it there.
That's probably.
But anyway, I didn't help the progress, because we have, obviously, there's pre-production, planning everything, there's production, and then post-production. And so we killed it in the pre-production. We killed it in the production. It was the post-production, which is the part
of the editing stuff.
That we thought, that'll be easy. We had the entire audio department on board. They were going to be helping all the students there. And then obviously us editing it through our curriculum and all that. And so I was very, and I want to be politically correct here, not rustle any feathers.
No.
Let's just say we had a disagreement with one of the heads of audio at the time. They're no longer there. I think we had a little bit of something to do with that, but neither here nor there.
Things happen.
And it was a pretty big disagreement, and I had, backstory, to help me, I knew my limitations with music. I was like, I can't compose a whole symphony. We were trying to go for the Disney type feel. It was the title was When the Music Changes. It follows a young student that wants to do something more with his life, but his parents want him on a particular financial track, all that. And he breaks through and discovers the arts and following his dreams and all of that. And he does so through music. And all that. So we wanted to go for that Disney-esque feel. And Disney is very
they have whole ass orchestras.
They literally
they literally and so, it's like call John Williams. We're producing
seriously,
a movie.
I reached out. I emailed his people. I never heard anything back. But anyway, it was my job to produce all the music, and so I wrote the songs, and I could play piano and everything. So I wrote the melody and all of that, but I needed that orchestra. And so I just went on YouTube and just started looking. I was like, how can I piece together an orchestra? And I was gonna look at other schools that have that program and stuff, and see if they come over and collaborate. And then I went to this channel, and I was just listening to this beautiful orchestra, and I was like, man, this thing is amazing. And then you watch more, and you find out that it was all digital. It was all. It wasn't actually a real orchestra. And so I found the guy who produced it and everything, Turns out his name is Bruno. He is a friggin' major film production guy. He scores I don't know how many
major motion pictures,
movies.
Though. Yeah.
He was in Cannes Festival for
nice.
At the time that I was reaching out and everything.
Oh,
One of the movies he did the score for had like who was it? I'm trying. I am the captain now.
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips, the actor.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the movies he was in, and I was like, okay, this is I'm gonna reach out, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna hear anything back. I was pretty good at writing an email back then, so I wrote this long email, and I'm like, we're just a group of kids trying to go for our dream, and we're facing controversy with this school. We're fighting this battle, but we're staying together, and we're building each other. I mean, I laid it on thick.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're just trying to follow the dream and have this Disney feel and asking all of this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was a Hail Mary, right? It was
you're just like whoop.
Put it up there.
Yep.
He contacts me back, and first of all, I was like, holy cow, I can't believe this guy responded.
Hey,
First of all, I found him,
right,
and he responded, and he was like, and obviously it was in French. His English wasn't all that great, but the gist of it was, I love your story, I love what you guys are doing, I want to help, and I'll offer my services for free.
Unreal.
I looked up how much it would cost if we were to hire.
What's his regular rate?
I couldn't find his particular rate because he didn't have it. But
somebody
someone
in his
similar. Starting, I couldn't find anything cheaper than $30,000 or $32,000 was the price I saw.
So we'll just, because the guy's been in, we'll call it 50 or 60.
It was up there.
Yeah, and that's incredible. Free.
He offers it for free, absolutely free, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
So we sent them music.
Yep.
And his arrangement was, it just matched the vibe. It was perfect, and everyone was ecstatic. They were like, "You got this big dude to do this little tiny film in friggin' Bangor, Maine."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Yeah,
unbelievable."
And it was definitely a highlight. But anyway, the point of telling that story is that the controversy came because. I would say one of the directors of the audio program, the head director at the time, or one of the professors, I can't know if he was head, but anyway, he was highly respected. He, worked in LA and all this kind of stuff, whatever. Guy was a dink.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But in my personal opinion, but anyway, he gave us his ultimatum, which I am not a fan of ultimatums.
No.
And he was like, it's either him or himself or the other guy that we found, Bruno. He was like, I'm not going to work with that guy. And so essentially saying you have to not use his arrangement and go find somebody else if you want the audio department to edit all of this for you, to master and all that.
That is ridiculous.
And I was like, you're making me choose between the audio department, which basically you, and Bruno, this other guy. And I'm like, it wasn't for me. Now, granted, I'm one of the producers, so I work with a whole team of people that are working with me and everything, and we're the leaders of the group and everything.
Right.
So we're not supposed to make
right?
unilateral decisions. But
you did.
It was in a meeting, and I got really upset about it. And I was
don't
like,
blame you.
He was like, ultimatum, me or him, and I'm like, I'm not even hesitating. I chose Bruno. I was like, it's like $30,000. I don't have that to replace this, and so. I was like, I'd even skip a beat.
Yeah.
And then
don't let the door hit you on the way out, pal.
Yeah, and let's just say it pissed him off.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I made it worse because I was like panicking. I was like, oh my God, I just lost the entire audio department for our film. And so I was on the phone, like going down the stairs after walking out of his door, and like calling people from the audio department and like, hey, so if this wasn't an accredited class for you, would you still do this? And they're like, I guess, man. It was just random, right out of the blue, me calling. And I guess that pissed him off even more when he found out that he was like, you're trying to poach. And people like, you're damn right.
You're goddamn right. This is a major production. We need audio people. You have audio people. We're poaching them, boy.
You told me you're pulling the rug from underneath us.
Yeah, you're literally kneecapping me. So yeah, I'm gonna take your people. You bet your ass. Like.
And so Anyway, long story short,
Yep.
he pulled the audio department. Shout out to a guy named Aaron Lounsier, and he was one of the students. He single-handedly carried that audio post-production stage from beginning to end. I mean, what would have been an entire team, he did himself.
He did it himself. Yeah, that's awesome.
And he was also, he had 3 majors that he was completing at the time, so he was very busy.
Very busy dude.
And he's just an extremely talented dude. And now he's off working for one of the concerts he let us into for free.
Oh, no way.
Was Body, the trumpet player, Chris Body, something Body. And then I'm terrible with names, but the guy who sings the "You Lift Me Up," that one.
Is it John Legend?
No. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, but that guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
and it was a great concert. So that's where he's doing.
He's doing like live
great.
audio for like shows.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's still in there. I think it's with a company now doing something else. But
yeah.
Anyway, he's an amazing, talented kid, and he just carried the production.
Yep.
But
hey, you gotta have people like that.
I had to go back to my team and be like, so guys, I may have made a decision that's going to affect everybody. And they're like, what did you do?
What?
And so, I made it a lot harder for us. But it was just a testament to our group. They all stuck by it. They're like,
they supported you.
It would have been nice to have been a part of the decision, Casey, but we understand. We support the decision.
Yeah. Because we don't have $30,000. Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just a great experience. The film and the school at that point also pulled their name from it, so they didn't want to be a part of it. Which that was fun. But then the best thing happened is the film was successful.
Oh,
it
and then they
really
wish
well.
they put their name on it.
I'm pretty sure they put it back on.
Oh, yeah.
Because now they were playing it at commencement and all that stuff.
Oh, actually, this is a success. Yeah. We supported this.
We never
the
doubted
whole
you
time.
for it.
Yeah. You guys are great, by the way. Please come back and send us money when you graduate, when you become successful.
We entered to a bunch of film festivals. We won. So technically, we're actually international award-winning film. For producing, my friend for directing, and so on.
Wow.
It did really well. Yeah, and we were very excited. And then we graduated.
Yeah.
It was all over, and so it was time to get It was just so weird how like it just you're so
ends.
into it, and then it's
and then
done.
It just ends.
Yeah.
Like the little community and life you've built for yourself of 4 years is just over with, and there's nothing you can do to bring it back.
And then everyone moves away, goes back home, and all that. So here I am now. Now, granted, so I guess long story short, video worked out.
That was very fascinating, though. That's a great story.
My change over to video, it worked out. It was good, I finished in the same 4 years. So, my one of the professors there was a freaking amazing person. First of all, he was the one that helped us get this greenlit, and he was a champion of the film.
Just
Frank Welch.
Yep.
Shout out Frank.
Right on, Frank.
He and I mean I can't. There was a bunch of people, right? Steve, Frank, Chris, just to name
all
a few.
those that are those that go nameless because there's so many that you'll forget one. Yeah, that's
sure.
why I always say like thank everybody because like eventually I'll forget somebody. So
yeah.
But
anyway, he was able to work his magic, and he was able to pull some of my credits. I also went because my time at CATC at Coney.
Oh yeah.
I did the business program.
Yes.
So I had some credits. And he worked his friggin' magic. He was able to transfer credits and substitute classes, and I was able to graduate with my class.
Wow.
In 4 years versus the 5.
Yep.
And so after college, I was like, what am I gonna do now? I need a job. Real life is here.
It's
so I got a couple of great job offers out of college.
Yep.
And that's one of the great things about college, as you know, like you meet so many people, so many connections are made through there. And it's just that, I mean, what you pay versus what you learn. For me, I was like, well, I probably could have learned this on YouTube, you know. But it's the experience, it's the hands-on.
That's what I always say, and it's the people, because you never
people.
get those people together in the same space otherwise.
And that's really what you pay for.
Yep, exactly.
And the friendships, my God, my greatest friendships came out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Some of my greatest friends came out of
I wouldn't change a thing.
Me putting myself in debt. Yep. No, exactly. No,
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
I joke. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is, but
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day because, like I said, it's so
What you get
it's
from
so
it.
it's so worth it. It's like I
Yeah.
said, like I'll never be able to put a monetary or any type of value on it other than the fact that it's like
Yep.
priceless. You know.
I feel you. So that got me out of college, and I got 2 job offers. One to go work for a video engineering company, new startup. I tested the waters. He flew me out to, it was Pennsylvania, really nice hotel and all this and that. And it would have taken me all over the world. It would have taken me to, I think the first spot would have been somewhere in Germany, to train, and then Texas, LA, and all these different places. And I was just like, I'm not really feeling the work though, the type of work. I'm not, you know. And having gone through college now, I was like, I understand. Like, if I'm not feeling something, like that's a sign.
Yeah, exactly.
So I respectively turned it down. And soon after that, I get another offer. And again, all these offers came from professors who recommended me. I didn't apply for these at all and all that.
Yep.
And it was one of those, if you show up, you got the job.
Yeah.
And so I was very grateful for that. So the other offer came from CBS and Fox. And so I went to go. I did end up going working for just the affiliate stations in Portland.
Yep.
And so I went and worked for them for 2 years. And then that was also during COVID at that point. I was in the news doing all of that, and let me tell you, it was interesting.
I'm sure. Yeah.
All the things that you hear about like biasness and all this and that, I have to say is that there's truth.
Oh
to
yeah,
that.
definitely.
And
is.
I saw it firsthand.
Yep.
And so it was just, at first I was like, They pulled me in because they're like, well, you're not really going to work in the news sector. You're going to work in more marketing and stuff like that. But I was like right in the thick of it.
Yeah, of course.
So, so all right, thanks guys.
Thanks guys. You bullshitted me, fool me, can't get fooled again.
Yeah. But I had to learn a bunch of stuff. I had to learn how to write for news, which is
it's a whole different.
I didn't even know how to do that. I was like, I
could
could barely write English
it is. You know what the thing that kills me though is some of these newscasters.
Yeah.
They can't read the teleprompters for shit. Like I'm sitting there in the morning drinking my coffee and it's like trip over your words again. Like I understand like nobody's perfect, but your job is literally to read a teleprompter.
Yeah.
You don't even need to have any like prior knowledge on this. I started the broadcasting club at St. A's. Me and a couple of friends. But it was just like, oh my god! Like, and I did an internship for Fox News, like big Fox News, like the Bill O'Reilly Fox News.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was
that must have been an experience.
He still worked for them at the time. Megyn Kelly still worked for them.
Did you get to meet any of them?
Oh yeah, Megyn Kelly screamed at me because she thought I was an employee. I was helping because I have me. I'm
this
like
is awesome.
I'm master. I'm like jack of all trades, master none. So like in my free time while I was doing my Fox internship, I helped the engineers run wires and rig up lights and stuff like that because I'm hands on.
That's amazing.
So I set up a couple of the sets at St. A's for the presidential shit and. She yelled at me. She thought I was an assistant or somebody like that to like get her a coffee or whatever. And I was just like, that's not my job. I literally looked at her and I said, that's not my job. And she storms off. And I'm like, what?
Oh.
Like, and then like not long after she went over to NBC or wherever she ended up after leaving Fox.
So I'm sure it wasn't you that she was mad.
No. I mean like she was just
but good
like,
for you to be like, that's
not
my
job.
I
like,
freaking love that.
I don't kiss boots, dude. There's a reason I didn't make it in politics. It's because like I'd say shit like that and be like, that's not my job.
I'm not kissing the ring.
Yeah, I don't care
who you are.
I don't care. No, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like that's the way. Honestly, that's how I was raised, dude.
Yeah.
Like
I love that.
I love. My dad tells this story sometimes. So he worked worked Catholic churches, and so like, not that he didn't respect the priests, but like when Father Frank was alive, he would go, Francis, how are you? And he'd go, Anthony, I'm good. How are you today? You know, and some of the evangelical folks would be like, oh, that's a priest. You can't talk to. He goes, and my dad looks at them and he goes, he puts his pants on one leg at a time.
Yep.
Just like I do.
Everybody else.
So that said, I'm going to refer to him as Francis as long as he doesn't take it as a point of disrespect.
Yep.
And it's just gauging what is respectful and what is
for sure.
And then there's different levels for each person. But that said, though, it's just like
that's awesome.
You know, that was my little. So I have a little bit of experience more in the news side of things than in the. But honestly, I'll be honest with you. Talking about your film, then I'll let you get back to your business in just a second. But I'd love to direct or have a hand. Maybe not. I don't want to star. I don't want to be an actor or anything like that. But I'd love to have a either directing role or some type of writing role in short films, or produce my own short film, or direct and produce my own short film, because it's just
a
like
lot of fun.
But the thing is that kills me nowadays, and you don't have to agree with me, but in just my opinion, that in video games, in movies, in TV shows, in basically any type of media, 9 times out of 10 the writing really sucks. I'm not trying to say I could do a better job. It's 9 times out of 10 though it is the writing. It's like, give me a properly developed character. You were able to do this 10 years ago. What happened?
And here's the thing about that though. And this is what people miss sometimes, I think, especially in the film industry. It's just like you think you need all this big pomp and
CGI and shit. Just give us practical effects.
If you have an amazing storyline, you can shoot it with an iPhone.
Yeah.
There's multiple examples of this.
Yeah.
It will blow up.
Yeah.
Because people connect with stories.
Yeah, and they connect with characters.
Character
points
development.
Of the characters that and also seeing themselves in a character.
For sure. If you can have an arc. If you can relate,
if you can actually write an arc, that's hard. It's not easy. I mean, I'm not going to say like I can do it. I mean, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I've written songs that are poorly written, and I mean, I've written other things, but like, I feel like telling a story. I mean, I tell stories all the time, literally, and so it's like, well, why can't I? I mean, obviously, I'm going to borrow from my own experiences and experiences of people who I've talked with and things, but like, who am I to not do this? I already have half the means to do. You know, it's like I already have half the means to do this anyway. Why not? You know.
Yeah,
it's just having time, really, for me. That's my biggest problem. I don't have time to do new things like that.
Yeah,
I have the time to maintain the things that I'm already doing.
Yeah,
adding something new is just that also. Mr. Millett gave me a great piece of advice. He goes, "You spread yourself way too thin." Yeah. He goes, "You got to stop doing that." I go, "I will someday."
Just a sidebar. I absolutely loved that. That was your first guess.
He was my second guess.
Second guess. Who was your first one?
Lucas, my roommate from college.
Lucas. Yeah. Okay, second one. I guess I came on.
I actually saw him today when I was driving home from work. He bought another new Tacoma, another new Toyota truck, and I go. I'm like, he turns the corner from Water Street. I'm trying to like go over the bridge to come back over by Fort Western, and I'm like squinting, and I'm like, "That's Mr. Millett." And my window is down, his window happened to it. I'm like, "Mr. Millett," and he goes, "What?"
But that's when I became a fan, because I only saw that as the first episode. I didn't realize you had one before that. But I was like, oh, he's interviewing freaking people that I know. I was like, this is gonna be good.
And
you had bangers.
I've had Mr. Lippert on, and like, if you grew up in the Augusta area, if you grew up in the Augusta area, like I've had some good, and there's more coming. I can't let loose. And I like keeping it secret. Like people are like, I've had a couple friends go, you should tell us in advance who your guests are gonna be. I'm like, but that's part of the surprise. You don't know who it's going to be, and you got and like that's my hope, is that it like forces people to want to tune back in a way.
You can't give away the farm. That's
exactly.
The hook.
And like, I'll be honest with you, there are some months that it's easier to have people on than others. Like during the summertime, my numbers always go down for some reason. I think it's like as I said on the past episodes, like I just think it's people are busy and they're just doing other things. And so I just do solo episodes in the summer. I keep it light. You know, like obviously it's more
I've learned a lot from your solo episodes. The history on Augusta.
Trying to go and trying to like keep it. Also, like I'm a history minor. Like I minored in history. You know, I always had almost double majored in politics and history. But like you said, it would have been too many classes. And I just have always, and this area is so cool because we have such a heavy presence of Native Americans. And then even back to like literally the founding of America, like the colonial shit and everything like that. Like, and then like Mount Katahdin, like literally like forming like Teddy Roosevelt. And like Maine is, like I said, historically a in general, a fascinating place. And I guess like you firsthand see a lot of the homes of Maine. And so, does that inspire you, scare you? And I guess like what prompted you to go from like the newsroom setting to your own?
So fast.
Did you go right to your own shebang, or did you work for some? Oh, you did.
I did. So I was after the news. It was 2020.
Good old 2020, dude.
It was COVID had already hit.
Yep.
It was we still kind of thought it would be like at that point, like 3 months type of thing.
Yeah,
and be done.
I remember that time.
And in those 3 months, I just gave my notice. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm done. I can't. I knew that it was a time for me to go. Was when I started crying at work.
Yeah.
Legit. I mean, I had these crazy stories come across the desk, and like you have to have really thick skin to work in that, as you know, in that industry. And it's just like I didn't want to have to develop that.
No.
I mean, when you were talking about fatalities of like children, and people are just like. There was a corporate person who was asking for footage or pictures or something, and he specifically asked for like pictures of like this major accident.
This gets views.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
I'm like,
you're
no,
sick.
I'm good, bro. And so another story was about a little girl that got killed by her mother not paying attention or something, and abuse, and I started bawling my eyes out when I'm reading this.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
sensitive
like,
shit. Yeah.
I'm probably not in the right line of work here.
Yeah.
This isn't for me. So I quit my job. I gave my 2-week notice in the middle of a pandemic when everyone was losing their jobs.
Yep.
I quit mine. And, of course, you can't collect anything if you quit your job. So I was on the millennial hustle after that.
Yep.
I started door dashing and Grubhub, anything I get my hands on.
Yeah, anything to make a little bit of money, right?
I didn't even have a camera at that point. I didn't have any clients. I knew no one in the real estate industry. The reason I got into real estate photography is because I wanted to combine at that point, like I started taking more pictures of things.
Yeah.
And I've always had a love for architecture. There was one point in my life I wanted to be an architect.
Oh,
and then I realized all the math that comes from, like, fuck that.
Yep.
So, but then I was able to, rekindle that love and like, okay, now I can do pictures and architect and all that together. And I got real estate photography. Yep. And so I saved up a little money to keep me for a couple of months. Because I was very optimistic. I was like, "Oh, I'll have my first client in a couple of months. I'll be good."
Hey, I mean, you can't just like be like, "Oh, I'm gonna fail. Like this is gonna be miserable." Like,
I was very
pump
optimistic.
yourself up. Yeah, you gotta be.
And so I blew through the money real quick and in a hurry, real quick. I was also
that'll do it.
I got an apartment at that point.
Yeah,
I had moved from my first apartment to my second apartment in Gorham.
Yep,
because it was cheaper.
Right.
And yeah, I started just hustling, grinding it out. I mean. Grubhub, DoorDash, anything I get my hands on. I was going to yard sales trying to flip stuff and on eBay and stuff like that. And then when I got the camera, I started doing random like elopements, weddings whenever I could and stuff like that. And I absolutely cannot stand photography or weddings. I don't like. Granted, let me say this before I dig myself a hole. It is a fantastic profession to be in. I absolutely love the art form.
Yep.
And the people that are in it that do it well.
Why do you think I DJ weddings, dude?
It is a very lucrative friggin' business too. Yep. And it takes an art form, and I absolutely respect the shit out of it. Yep. It's just not for me.
The ones who do it and do it well are great. They have the personality for it. They're just, like I said, they're all around. They're just great.
Yeah. So I was doing random stuff like that.
You were saying, buddy?
That counted. Dude. So I love the profession of wedding photography. And like I said, it's an art form.
Yep.
I found really quickly it just wasn't for me.
Right.
But I was doing it because again it pays great money and I needed money
at the time, right?
Yep. Shit. And so I mean there was times where I was like, am I gonna be able to pay my rent? And it was a very scary time. But I kept hustling and grinding. I was still promoting my business at the time, real estate photography. Yep. I had spent some money. I saved up money, bought some business cards, all that kind of stuff. And I just started handing them out to people. I was reaching out to people online on Instagram to real estate agents and like, hey, I'm a photographer new in town, trying to get this thing off the ground. And it was hard. Yeah. I couldn't give away my stuff. And so I was literally offering it for free. I was like,
and they still turned you. They still said no.
We
either have somebody
said no or they just didn't respond. Yep. A lot of them just didn't respond.
That's wild.
Yeah,
and like you think the good real estate agents anywhere are like opportunists. If they like can get something for nothing, you think they'd take it.
They did. Some of them took advantage for sure.
Yeah.
But that industry, real estate photography, it's one of those where. Once you're in. Yeah. But it's hard to get in because agents have their guy, or
right?
Their girl,
yeah,
and they use
they
it
just
for years.
use the same person. Yeah. Yep.
And so,
but once you're locked in, though.
Yeah. But I had one agent I was sending out cold emails, cold calls, And that's just one thing I wish I would have been prepared for, like either through education or something. Like schools they don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur.
No.
You're not prepared for that. No one prepares you for, hey, when you start this thing, you're going to get a ton of no's and it's going to feel personal and you got to keep going.
You just got to grind it out.
And it's a numbers game.
Yep.
And I mean, I got my first 100th no and I was just so like depressed. I was like, there's something wrong with me personally.
Yeah, it's me. It's not the business. It's just me because I suck. It's what? Yeah, right. Yeah,
and
I get what you're saying.
I was just like, and the hard part about it is, on that 101th call, you have to go in with the same energy that you had on the very first one.
Exactly.
And so that was hard. No one prepared me for that. But you go through it. You take it as is. I had people laugh at me. I had people hang up on me. I had people just be downright rude. And I'm like, I'm just trying to start this thing, buddy. You can just say no. Shout out to the people who didn't use me, but they were respectful and they were like, yeah, we're good. I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for calling. If I ever do, need you, I'll call you and all this. But anyway, fast forward to I started getting into networking groups. That was a game changer.
Yep, that is.
I had one agent who gave me a shot. She was like, yeah, I'll use you, but also I have this networking group. We want to be a part of it. And it was Friday, 8:30 in the morning. And knew as someone who had just left the corporate world with a safety net and all that, I was enjoying my time of not having to get up early in the morning.
Right.
And so when she was like 8:30 on a Friday, I'm like, fuck, that's early. Again, here we are again with the Friday shit. Like 6 to 9, 8:30. One of the best things I could have done for my business was join that group.
That's excellent.
Because that got me into the world of networking. And introduced me to a ton of people. And then that particular agent was my very first agent. I call her the OG.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brittany Barr with Landing Real Estate. I now that I said that, there's so many agents that I work with that they're gonna be mad that I didn't say that. But there's a ton of people. They're all great. Brittany Barr just happens to be the first one that gave me my shot.
I mean, you got to respect that. Like I said, I'll go to bat for you there, buddy. Like you got to respect the person, especially they're going to sit higher than the rest, even though there are people that helped you along the way. The first one that, went to bat for you or,
and I had to say that because we're now actually expanding into the Augusta area. So So anyone who works for me in the Augusta area, I love you.
Yeah. Are you looking for real estate agents as well as, like just...
Yeah, so I'll fast forward a little bit. The company started to take off, right?
Right,
and I did shoots and I got calls back and we just grew and grew and grew. And then
you have employees now, don't you? I'm not trying to jump ahead.
Yeah,
but
no.
I've seen you. I follow. As much
you
as
follow
Kaci,
us?
I follow you guys. Yeah, of course I do. I follow you personally, and then I also follow your business.
I love that.
But it's just I like keep like the people who I hung out with, and like we did stuff with. I like keeping tabs.
So so fast forward. My very first hire was, and I say hire, but they were 1099 because it's a lot.
It's a mess out there.
W2.
Yeah.
But anyway, first hire was an editor, right? Because I couldn't edit all the stuff that I was producing.
It's a lot of time.
So I got an editor. He's doing great. He edits all my stuff. I went through a couple of them to get to the one that I have now.
Right.
But he's great. And so all the shoots that I just send to him, he does all the photo editing. I still handle all the photos of the exteriors and the video stuff that we do. So KR Real Estate Media, it's an end-to-end marketing company that helps real estate agents market their properties through photography, videography, drone photography, 3D tours, Matterport, all the whole works, floor plans, stuff like that.
That's awesome. You do, and the 3D tours too. Like you do virtual walkthroughs and everything like
virtual
that.
Walkthroughs.
Those are. I mean, I'm sure COVID had a huge. I mean, I know they were doing them before COVID, but I'm sure that really pushed those ahead pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was a big one during COVID. Now, granted, I was just starting out doing that, so I missed a lot of that.
Yep.
No one really know me, but but no, we do all of it. We can do virtual staging, so an empty room, we can put furniture pieces in there. We can do virtual declutter. So if we're in an apartment building and there's a bunch of stuff around and you want to clear it out, we can clear all that stuff out like it was never there.
Yep.
We do a bunch of stuff. Virtual renovations. So if there's just, studs and stuff, no drywall or anything like that, we can put up drywall, we can put up furniture, we can completely renovate the space virtually.
That's amazing.
There's
You're
a lot of
literally
stuff.
working magic. I mean, digital magic,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
magic nonetheless, you know.
And so we started to grow, and I started to get to the point where it was just getting way too busy for me to do everything myself. And so I also wanted to expand, and so I reached out, and my first spot was Augusta. I was like, I want to reach out to Augusta area and see what we can do up there. And so I hired a photographer, a second photographer to do the Augusta area. So I don't know if you know Casey Mills. He's a younger guy.
I know. He's one of all the Mills and
Yeah.
Bennett's and all them.
It was John who introduced me.
Yeah. They're all great. I love them.
Oh yeah. Awesome people. Awesome
people.
Beings,
Good
man.
people. Yeah.
And so so Casey came on. I trained him up and everything.
He's one of the younger ones though.
He's 19. And he goes to Hudson.
Oh no shit. Yep.
Yeah, but he's killing it with the photography.
Oh yeah.
He learned so quickly.
That's
and
awesome.
So now he's got he's done a few meetings already here in Augusta area. He's got a few agents.
Nice.
And I'm like, you're killing it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean like that's awesome.
And so he's growing the business up here now.
Yep.
And so the way that I set it up is essentially he's running his own. It's under my umbrella.
Right.
And so I offer all the editing and stuff we still do in house, and not in house, but my editor guy does it.
Yep.
And everything is sent through the company and everything. He has I bought all the gear, trained him up.
Yep.
All that. And so. But yeah, so now he's operating the business up here on his own, basically.
That's awesome.
And he's freaking killing it.
And speaking of that, because I mean, do have a good listening base here in Augusta. If people are looking to sell their homes or work with somebody who works with you, where can they find you?
krrealestatemedia.com.
Excellent.
And we have all of our pricing is up on our website. All of our work is up on our website. And you can book 24/7 online, so you don't have to. If you're wondering like when are we available, because we book out pretty far out now. But
nice, good for you.
If you want in the Augusta area, because Casey he's still building it up here, so there's a lot more availability. But if you're ever wondering like when are you available, go to our website krrealestatemedia.com. There's an active calendar on there, so whenever we update our personal calendars, it'll update on the site.
Oh wow!
So you see our live, up-to-date interactive calendar.
You're very transparent.
You can book right through our website, pick what the services you want. It'll give you an itemized list, costs, and all of that stuff, so there's no questions. You can just figure out what's going to be best for you and your listing. And then once you book it, we'll show up there at that time that you booked.
Excellent.
And get it done. And then we have next day delivery, so you get the regular photos, interior, exterior photos will be delivered the next day. All online. And the way that I set it up is I like people to be able to preview all of the photos before they purchase.
Of course.
So if you have any questions, if you want to see changes, you can do all that before you even purchase it. But when you're ready to download it, then it prompts you to do an online payment and takes care of it there. But yeah, it's been a crazy ride to get to
where you are
point.
Right now. Yeah. And I mean, like that's why I knew you were. I could tell like you were always building something, and that's why like I'll be honest with you, I held back on. I wanted to have you on for a little while, but I held back because I wanted to see like where's Casey gonna go. You know what I mean? Like and to have a more complete part of the story in a lot of ways too. Like and that's awesome to hear that everything's going well. And like I said, you have employees and you're growing. And like I said, that's very excellent. Like I said,
and right now we're actually. But my time has been really spent on I'm hiring 2 more people. So we'll have a team of 7 altogether when I do this.
Good for you. You're a small business owner. You are a small business owner, buddy.
The 2 that I'm hiring is a project manager and a executive assistant.
Yep.
So handle all the emails, and the project manager will do all the shoots and everything as far as like delivery to clients, answering client emails as far as edit requests and stuff like that.
Yep.
It just makes us more efficient, makes us faster. And so
because you're wearing, I mean, it takes another hat off your head and allows
I'd
you
like
to do a little
go
bit
to bed not at 3:30 in the morning.
That's
morning.
Hey, I mean that's part of running a business, unfortunately, right? But at the same time, you do deserve your time, especially the sleep. You deserve your time to sleep.
Sleep is good.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so the team they're coming on board pretty soon here. Those last 2 people,
nice,
and then it'll be a business that runs technically. I don't have to be the one running. I can step away at that point, and it'll run itself. Well, I mean, I'll still have to do some of the day-to-day, but like,
right.
for the most part, the photographers be doing their thing. Everything is I spent So we'll just say I spent some money.
Yeah, you invested properly.
I invested some
in
money
your business.
the past 2 months.
Yep.
The most, and it's crazy because
technology, though.
I remember, it's freaking expensive, man.
Oh yeah.
I remember, as you know, I'm looking at all these gear.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I mean, this MacBook Air over here. Don't want to talk about it.
It's a nice one too.
It is.
Some money.
It's not
these
the stock.
the mics.
It's not a stock one. I mean, like
it's crazy how expensive this stuff is.
It is. Like, and honestly, that's what caught me. Like
headphones,
audio interface. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't chintz on those. Audio Technica, baby. You know, like.
It's
we
crazy.
have a good experience, but like, oh yeah, no, it is, and that's the thing. Like, it catches you off guard. Like, you can even spend like a couple $100 and still get a piece of garbage.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Go spend $1,000, $2,000, and you'll get something pretty decent. It's like that's insane, though.
The amount of freaking if someone could just invent the perfect tripod, I would be a customer for life. I've gone through like 3 different tripods in like 1 year.
Yeah.
With the amount of shoots that we do, you're setting them up, tearing them down. So it wears and tears on tripods. I've spent so much money on freaking tripods. But the past 2 months with the addition of, because Kaci came on this year, and then I have another photographer. I have 2 photographers now. Yep. And it was just a lot of training. And so that obviously takes my time away, but obviously it needs to happen. Oh, and then all the gear times 2.
or times whatever, right? Yeah. That's like what do you shoot with? Like, what's your preferred
We're on
brand?
a Sony A7 III. Okay. With a 16 to 35 millimeter.
So lens. My buddy Pony, I don't know if you listened to that episode or not. He also does. He's an amateur photographer, but he's real into photography, and he was like, Sony, man, some of this stuff. He was talking really. When we were out in Arizona, he was talking very highly about the Sony cameras.
Yeah, Sony is great. I mean, I learned on a Canon. I was a Canon guy for sure in college.
Yep.
But and then Canon, I would say Canon if you're new and you want to just dive right into the interface for Canon is very user friendly, extremely user friendly. Sony is too for the most part, but Canon just got that next level, and then their natural color in Canon is freaking beautiful. Yeah. But Sony, that low light capability. That's
and
really
again,
nice.
as important as lighting is in the video and photography world, I mean
it does really well in low light situations, and so Sony has got that locked in. Yep.
Where does Nikon? I mean, the only brand where does Nikon stand in the rest of that? Like,
I can't really speak to Nikon only because I haven't used it.
Just curious, because like when you think about cameras, you think Canon, Sony, Nikon, right? I mean, like, and then there's some other like photography brand, like for like for like your filmy film people and all
but I don't want to speak to it because I don't.
Right, you don't have experience with it.
No, so.
Just curious if you because the big 3.
But yeah, so we're all Sony, and we're all on Apple for editing.
So
and all
nice,
that.
isn't it?
Expensive. But we're there. And then Adobe Suite and all that stuff.
Oh
too.
Yeah. Photoshop. I mean, I took a Photoshop class in in college when I was a senior, and it was honestly so much fun.
Oh, it is. I had
so much fun. I loved actually my favorite thing was restoring old broken black and white photography. You have to scan black and white photography, and then I added color to it.
You were adding color to it?
Oh yeah, I'll have to show it to you. It's way back on my Instagram. I'll have to pull it up and show it to you. And it's like these 2 kids sitting on a swing on like a porch in like the 50s. Yeah. Like I picked very like 50s-esque colors, and like I think I did a pretty good job considering like I did not major in like editing. It's just
a huge market for that.
It's just dabbling. It's just dabbling. That's all I do is dabble. Like it's like this. It's like awesome. A lot of the other things that I do. But but like for you though, it's like, do you ever find yourself like looking for other media? Because like I said, you obviously have the real estate thing, but do you? I know you said weddings. You're like, but like, do you ever find yourself longing to do any other type of medium in your field, in the either videography or real estate for that matter?
So what I started in 2021, because the winter months of real estate photography gets really scary.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I needed something to help
bridge the gap,
bring the money
until the warm months
came
back.
And I noticed that there was a big need for video in real estate photography in the form of, yes, we do video tours and all that for homes, but like social media videos for the agents themselves to market them.
Yep.
And so in part of our system, we do video production for them. So like we'll go and we'll do
so you're like
batch
the ad
filming.
man too.
So
yep.
We will write the scripts for you. So basically, we have a meeting with them at first, talk about
what are your goals, what do you want to do,
what are you trying to accomplish, what are you trying to say, stuff like that. And we'll take like if you're talking about like HELOC, home equity line of credit or something like that. We'll take that and we'll write it in a way that is gives a hook, catchy, something that pulls you in, and then write a little 30-second Facebook or Instagram reel type thing to it. We'll come to the office, we'll do batch filming, so we'll film like a month worth of content for you.
Well, that's awesome.
And then there's an option for us to post it on your social media for you. We'll manage all that stuff, Facebook, Instagram, and keep you relevant on social media.
Oh, wow.
And so that's more on a monthly retainer.
That's awesome.
And so that definitely helped during the winter.
Well, that's really neat. And it's very unique. And like, again, like that's why I love talking with folks like you, because you find like, you're like, okay, like you're an entrepreneur type, like you identify a need. You're like, all right, this is my new niche. This is where I'm going next, because either this is going to lead to bigger and better things, gets you involved with more. It just helps the other side of your business too, frankly. I mean, it's like like the snake eating its tail type of thing.
For sure. But I do keep it primarily to just real estate, photography, and videography purposes, only because I want to be. There's a lot of competition in what I do, especially in the Southern Maine sector. There's a lot of people, but Kaci Real Estate Media has risen to I would say probably one of the top 3.
That's awesome. Good for you, buddy.
We specialize in real estate photography.
Yep.
So we don't do anything.
If you need
else.
your house, if you're selling your house. And you need it photographed, and if you listen to this podcast, you're calling Kaci.
Yeah, we got you.
Or you're booking them online. You're on KR Real Estate photography.com.
KR Real Estate Media.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there we go. I like I said, that's why I let you say it. But case in point, they will find you.
So we do that. But I just make it a point. We specialize. If people ask you to do other things, it's like, nope, this is our specialty.
I don't blame you.
And then the other thing that I started that has helped the bottom line quite a bit is short-term rentals.
Oh, nice.
And so if you own an Airbnb and you want to see your bookings skyrocket, get professional photography. Not even just me, like KR Real Estate Media. You can hire whoever, but like make sure they're good. Just invest the money into professional photography for your short-term rentals. If you want to see an increase in your occupancy, professional photography. I cannot stress that enough. Right. It is a every time we do them for our clients,
they go, oh my god.
I had one client tell me, like, dude, like I wasn't getting any bookings before, and then I posted those photos and I booked out for the entire month, and it was just like,
it's all staging, right?
It's amazing. And so that one is a little different style of photography. I like to say we're not just, you're not just paying us to take a great photo. You're paying us for the whole experience, but also we know where to put the camera. Right? It's not just like, just take a picture. We know where to place the camera.
You're going to get the most out of each room.
Yeah.
You're not going to cut things off. You're going to not make it look like, I'm going to get stabbed if I walk down this alleyway. Like, you're going to make it actually feel like you're going to catch the vibe that's going to actually bring people in, like you said, which is important.
And so that's been a huge one. For the company, for sure. We charge differently because we spend a lot more time in there. One of the things about us is that there's a lot of photographers out there who and I understand where they're coming from, but they're on like a real estate job. They're in and out.
Right.
So they're snap. One of the compliments that we receive all the time is like, you're in there for like an hour.
Yeah, you're thorough. And you act like you care.
And I was like, I mean, that's...
not that you act like you care. You genuinely do care. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like you guys are putting up an act. But like, no, but you guys genuinely care about what you're doing. There's the quality. Yeah, exactly.
And so I say that our main goal isn't just to get in and get out. Our main goal is to make sure that these photos are going to kick ass for you.
Right, and actually do what you're paying us to do. You're like, you're paying us for a reason. Like, we're going to give you a good product.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we don't take forever. We're efficient. But, we're definitely not the fastest.
But
so
thorough,
if you're looking for a photographer just to come in and snap random quick photos, we're not your guy. We're not for you.
Also, you're cheating yourself, though, if you just do something like that, respectfully, in my opinion.
The industry, I mean, people are expecting professional photography now if you're going to sell a house. It's just, and one of the things that I talk about whenever we're pitching is that real estate photography, what you put out that's your brand. So, like, if you're an
Very
agent
much so.
and you're still using your phone for photos, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of phones out there that do a great job.
Yeah.
Nothing against agents that do that. I'm just saying, like, you got to find what type of brand you want to put out, because your photos are a representation of who you are and how you represent your clients.
I mean, do you look like a hack? Do you look, like, that's big. It's big.
It's big. And so whenever we're out on a shoot, we represent the client, like the agent. And so we're an extension of you. And so we're on time. We're professional. We take great photos. We take our time. And all of that, praise that comes from it goes directly to the agent. We don't need any of that. That our job is to make them look amazing.
Right.
And that's what we do. And
it definitely is. Like I said, I've looked at your work, and you guys do great.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, I'd buy if I had the money. I'd buy one of those houses.
I would too. It'd be nice.
Oh shit!
Someday,
one of those days.
But yeah, so we're growing fast. We're expanding into new territory. So now we're all of Southern Maine, all of Augusta, north of Augusta, Central Maine. That unless you're like in the Bangor area, then you won't be able to book with us, because I mean, you still can. We'll drive up there. We charge for travel, but you have to call in for that stuff.
Yeah.
But everything else.
But still, I mean, like I said, basically, if you're in Maine and you want your house photographed to be sold, or your Airbnb, or you're a real estate agent in need of some advertisement and stepping up your game, you can find Mr. Kaci Rankins and his folks at KR Real Estate Media, and their website is, one more time, Casey.
Yeah, you nailed it. Okay, KRRealestatemedia.com.
Excellent. I just want to make sure I didn't mess that up.
We're on.
We want people to find you.
Facebook, Instagram, and our website is our flagship. And like I said, we're servicing now the Augusta, Central Maine.
Yep. So get on it,
all
folks.
the way down to New Hampshire and that whole area. So.
Well, excellent, dude.
Yeah.
And like I said, great having you on, buddy. Thank you so much. It was
it's been great.
Fantastic to catch up.
My first podcast.
And, right, dude? You killed it. And so it was great. Great hearing, getting to hear from you and see that things are going well. And like I said, it's a battle, it's a struggle, but it's one that's definitely been well worth fighting. And look where you are now. And I'm sure we'll look back in another couple of years and say, look where you were and look where you are again. So, like I said, I wish you the best with KR Real Estate Media and everything else that you're up to these days, because I know you're a busy guy. And so great to catch up, though. I know.
It's been good.
Let's do this more often than another 10 years, dude. So that said, also thank you to all of you for tuning in to hear us reminisce a little bit, and also probably teach you something new that you probably didn't know about real estate media, and also just photography in general, and really kind of following your dream, I guess. That was a great story about the film and everything. So like I said, thank you everybody for tuning in. You can find us at DuView 207 on Instagram, the DuView podcast, where you get your podcasts, and just about everywhere else. So thank you guys for tuning into this month's episode, and we will catch you next month for another tantalizing episode of the DuView podcast. So thank you everybody for tuning in, like I said, and hang in there, and we'll be in touch real soon.